They say it started over a football game.
Doc says to me as I step out of my patrol car and onto the slush-covered parking lot in front of Tony's Tavern. The door of the bar is propped open, and Tony stands next to it, shivering in his white t-shirt and jeans. Doc notices the confused look on my face and fills me in.
He's airing the place out.
Is it that bad?
I ain't never seen nothing like it, Sheriff. We were just waiting for you to get a look at the scene before we cleaned the place up and sent Tony home.
I make a beeline for Tony to get his statement so we can send him on his way before he gets hypothermia. Tony sees us coming and tosses the hand-rolled cigarette he'd been smoking into a snowbank near the building. So, Tony, can you tell me what happened here?
I already told this story twice, but if it gets me out of here, sure, I'll tell it again.
Yep, last time I swear, then you're free to leave. Tony takes a second to cough the smoker's rattle out of his lungs before going into his version of the event.
Well, the same two old guys show up every week to watch Sunday Night Football. The one's name is Mr. Creed, or was Mr. Creed, I guess. And the other one is called Mullet, you know, because of his hair.
Is that the one we have in custody? Doc nods and I turn back to Tony. Please, go on.
So anyway, Mullet is a big Chicago fan, and that happened to be one of the teams playing tonight. Well, they weren't playing very good, and Mr. Creed kept poking fun at him, talking about how bad their quarterback is or how their defense couldn't stop nobody. You know, just kept digging, trying to get under Mullet's skin, and what's the word I'm looking for?
Antagonize?
Yeah, antagonizing him. So in the middle of one of their arguments, I get a call and pick up the phone. The TV was up pretty loud because they're old and don't hear too good. I ducked around the side of the bar, plugging my ear with my finger so I can hear the call. Those two guys were getting pretty loud behind me, and I yelled over my shoulder, "Keep it down! I'm on the phone!" It got quieter, and I thought everything was fine until I got hit in the back by,
Mullet attacked you too? I interrupt in surprise. I thought Mr. Creed had been the only victim, but Tony is quick to correct me.
No, I got hit by Mr. Creed's head.
Tony turns around and I see the back of his shirt is spattered with blood that's turning brown around the edges, where it's starting to dry, but still red and wet in the center of the splotches. Tony goes back to his story.
So I turned around and it looked like someone had gotten mauled by a bear in there. Mullet was on the floor, hunched over what was left of Mr. Creed's body, and I think he was eating it. Well, I screamed like a little girl, jumped over the bar, and ran out of there to the payphone on the other side of the parking lot. That's when I called you guys.
I rub my hands together to get some warmth back into them while I digest what Tony has said. Thanks for your help, Tony. We'll get the place cleaned and locked for you. You're free to go.
Thank goodness,
Tony says as he starts to jog towards his running pickup. Don't you want to grab your jacket before you go? I call after him. He shakes his head, not missing a step.
Hell no, I'm not going back in there.
I turn to Doc, who shrugs her shoulders and points to the open tavern door.
Really should take a look, Sheriff.
I take a deep breath as we head toward the entrance, and I peek around the doorframe. All of my senses are assaulted immediately. The TV is still on and blaring the post-game show, while the smell hits me like a punch to the nose. If you've ever been hunting and cleaned a deer, then you've smelled it too. The odor that escapes the abdominal cavity after you slice open the belly to let the viscera fall to the ground. After my mind gets past the initial sensory overload, it starts to make sense of what I'm seeing. I know that football is a violent sport, but there is more blood on the floor of the tavern than has ever soaked into the turf of a gridiron. Wide-eyed with shock and unable to turn away from the scene in front of me, I tap Doc on the shoulder and point toward the ceiling. Are those guts swinging from that ceiling fan?
Yep. Small intestines, to be exact. And I think that's a spleen under the pool table in the corner.
Doc says, jerking her head to indicate the other side of the bar. I finally tear my eyes away from the carnage and say to Doc, "Well, I've heard you shouldn't poke bears, but I guess you shouldn't poke fun at them either."